Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Carbon again, and today we're with the brand new 488 GT3 Evo from the newest update. And I had a request on my Twitch channel to create a setup for this particular car at Silverstone, and that's exactly what we did. So I'm going to walk you through what I did, and at the end I will run my fastest lap, so that way you can watch that real time. But for now, we'll get started. I'll load up the aggressive setup, and then I'll start walking through the changes one by one, so that way you have a good understanding of this new car and how it drives and how it performs. Speaking of my Twitch channel, feel free to stop by if you're bored. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. Link is going to be in the description below, so come by. Love to see you there. And maybe suggest a car and track combo for me to start working on. So, couple things I noticed from my last video that I'll make sure to do this time. When I go into the setup, I'll turn off my webcam so you can see everything. I noticed that my webcam was kind of blocking it off a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Well, as you can see, I just finished the setup for the most part. Again, I'm not going to walk through the dampers because I want this to be quick and easy for you, and I want to get you like 95% up there. Now, if you do want this setup that I created, I have it in my Discord. Every setup I put on my YouTube channel, I throw into my Discord, so make sure to join there, and all these setups are for free. Everybody can use them, download them, do whatever they want. Oh, speaking of my Discord, feel free to jump in if you have any questions, concerns. I'll be happy to answer any of those for you. We have a great community. We're slowly growing, but we're getting there, and I'm pretty excited. So enough rambling, let's jump into it. So we'll go ahead and jump into the stock aggressive setup. So you guys can see it. Let me go ahead and turn off my webcam here for a sec. Current tire pressures, the current configuration for the traction control, the current configuration for fuel and strategy, mechanical, stock dampers, and then the aero balance. First thing that we're going to do is, number one, get out and run a lap, but I always make sure I select pad ones. TC looks okay for me, and then we'll figure out tires at the end of the lap, and then we'll go straight to aero balance first. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Mute the music. All right. One thing I've noticed about the new Ferrari is that it is pretty twitchy on a stock aggressive setup. And by twitchy, I mean it's pretty aggressive. So there's not, by no means are we going to be able to keep up with my fastest lap here. But we should get pretty close. You can already tell we lost, what, almost 0.2 tenths. A lot of understeer, and I think that's the problem, is that going into the corner there is understeer that turns into snap oversteer incredibly quickly, and that's inherent to all the aero balance. We'll be able to sort that out. So I'm also noticing a little bit of a issue under braking. The car has a lot of understeer under braking. These lower speed corners, the car feels okay. I just don't have the confidence to get back into the power, so. This really fast right-hander feels okay. Again, the braking just feels like it just wants to snowplow. Just go straight. So there's no compliancing in the front end, and I think that's because the stock aggressive setup comes with 0 bump stop in the front for stability. But we're gonna raise it up a little bit so we can get more movement. And there's that understeer going into snap oversteer that I was talking about earlier. So I'm not going to complete this lap, and I'll show you why here now. So we'll go ahead and return to the garage. The reason I didn't finish that lap is we're going to be able to adjust our tire pressures, because it takes the hottest PSI, the hottest reading throughout the lap. So if you finish your lap, that's going to obviously be the biggest average that you're going to want. So we'll go ahead and adjust this now. I'd like to aim for 27.5 in the front. 27.7 in the rear. All right. So we'll go to the aero balance. Right now, we have an aero variation of negative 0.2%. Essentially, that means the car is pretty level. Front end, there's little rake in the car. Another thing I was noticing is that the car was bottoming out in some of the braking points, which is also going to reduce your braking distance. You want to be able to have the suspension work for you. You don't want the bottom of the car bouncing off the road. So what I'm going to do is raise the front ride height 2 clicks. We'll raise the rear. Let's see. 4 clicks. So this brings the car off the ground a little bit. It gives us a little bit more negative rake. So the back end is just slightly higher than the front end, which is going to help the car turn. And then we'll go ahead and see how this affected things. We'll go ahead and leave TC and ABS where they are. Same with TC2. TC2 you can play with. I wouldn't go plus or minus more than 1 of the actual TC. You don't want it engaging too hard. So, all right. So we should have good tire pressures. We now have that aero balance. Let's go ahead and do another lap and see where we end up. I can already tell that the car feels like it has better balance in the corners on off throttle. Yeah, the car feels great. You can already see my deltas up. Just by making that one little change. We haven't even touched the brake bias yet. Which we might do here in a sec. But look at this, we're already way quicker than our last time, so this is already feeling a lot better. A low 58 so far is what it's predicting. A little bit of understeer going into that, which pushed us out wide. But as far as the aero balance, feels great. And the way I'm checking for that aero balance, I'll go ahead and let my ghost go a little bit, is in these high-speed corners and the lower speed corners, I just lift off the throttle. And I see if the car wants to either go straight, if the back end wants to slide out, or if it feels like I have a pretty decent balance between the two. For me, the balance I'm looking for is where I can kind of shift the steering wheel left and right. and I still get a little bit of bite without losing the back end of the car. And that usually sets you up for a really nicely balanced car. But this already is going to be a much better lap time, even though we let off. Should put us at a low 59. I'll take a low 59 in a public lobby any day. Yeah, 59 too. Okay, so let's see if we can fix a couple of issues on that lap. For me, what I was feeling is a lot of understeer under braking. Aero balance felt great. And I wish there was a little bit more turn in. So let's go ahead and see if we can correct that. So since we're okay with our aero balance here, and we're not really going to mess with dampers because there's a lot that goes into dampers. If you don't have the proper tools for them, it can get away from you really quickly. So, like I said, if you do want the full setup, jump into my Discord, grab it for free. Everybody's welcome there. I did adjust the dampers there, and the car feels really good. You can make a lot of headway with the dampers, but they're pretty good out of the box, so I wouldn't mess with them. Let's see. So we're having some braking understeer. One of the things we can do that to combat it, I'm going to first move the brake bias up in the front. We'll go to 56.8. That'll throw more power into the front brakes, less in the rear. That should help with rotation. The car is pretty stiff in the front too. As you can see, the bump stop range is 0, so that means that the suspension is riding on that bump stop. It's nice because you're going to have a lot of stability when you hit the brakes, but it's going to hurt you as well because you're not going to get any turn in. The front end is just going to be flat like a stiff board, and you're not going to get the rotation that you want. So what I'm going to do is bring the bump stops up 2 clicks. And as you can see, it kind of opens up the gap between your suspension and your bump stop. And this should help quite a bit. And then I'm also going to reduce the bump stop rate. This is the stiffness of the actual bump stop itself. So if you put in a softer bump stop, again, you're going to have more compliancy in the front, less stability, more rotation. A stiffer bump stop, you're going to have more stability, but a lot more understeer and a lot less rotation. So we'll go ahead and free up the front end a little bit. Bump stop range in the rear. I don't really think we need 50. So I'm going to bring this down to 45. And what this will do is it'll help catch the car if we hit some severe bumps, and it won't let the back end of the car bounce too high. Like for example, if you hit a pretty significant curb in the fast right-hander, the back end will bounce up. So bringing that down a little bit will help. And since we brought it down a little bit, I'm going to reduce the bump stop rate to 400. Give us a little bit more compliancy in the rear. Wheel rates. You can really help your car out with wheel rates as well. Reducing the front wheel rate will also help you with turn-in. So I'm going to just do 1 click here, and then I'm going to stiffen up the rear. I'm going to do 1 click up on the rear. And this should help with rotation. Again, we're just trying to fight that initial understeer as you're going into the corner. And these changes will definitely help loosen the car up and make it rotate more. Essentially making the rear end stiffer while making the front end softer. And it should help the car a lot. Preload diff, I'm also going to mess with. I'm going to bring it down 2 clicks. And that's just because we did stiffen up the rear a little bit. I want to have a a small wiggle room in the rear to kind of help compensate for that. Again, we'll keep TC, ABS the same. And what I'm actually going to do, yeah, we'll leave ECU at the same as well. Just a quick note on the Evo. The ECU map number 3 is more of your race map. This ECU map number 1 is going to be your most aggressive. This is what you're going to use in qualifying, but it will get the car out of shape really quickly if you don't manage your throttle inputs. So just be cautious of that. We'll leave it on 3 for now. I believe in the full setup I selected 1. And again, I'll go through the full setup at the end of this so you can see it. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump out and do another lap here. See if we made any improvements. What's worse is I think I just left my webcam off for that entire little spiel. But we're going through the setup, and you probably didn't want to see my ugly mug during that last couple laps anyway, so it's fine. All right, let's go. Let's see what these changes did for us. I can already see that the front end is freed up a little bit. This should help us guide through the corners a little better. Oh yeah. The car definitely rotates a lot more under braking, as you can see in turn 1. But it feels good. So if I can get a clean turn 1, this will be a nice setup. But as you can see, the turn-in response is so much better. It lets you get on the brakes a lot later. And in fact, in a lot of ways, it makes the car feel more aggressive, more on the line. So for a race setup, you might want to dial back some of those changes just to have a more stable car throughout the race. But like going into this corner, it feels so much better. Same with this one. You can really just crank it over and the car still wants to turn. Doesn't want to go straight. So it's a good sign. And tire pressures look great as well. So I think we nailed those. And again, these videos are not meant to be professional or perfect in any way. So if you see me stumbling and jumping around, I apologize. But this is just meant to be like a fun little guide to help walk you through a setup. But look, right there, we're already up on our PB of a 57.8, so... Oh, look at this. We're on track for a high 57. If you do a high 57 in a public lobby, you will be called a god. No, I'm joking. And keep in mind, this is on the 2019 version of Silverstone. 2018 version is definitely quicker, like by a good second and a half, if not more. Yeah, the car feels so much better already. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. And I know I ran through those settings pretty quickly. So again, feel free in the comments, let me know if you have any questions or you want me to explain something a little better. I'd be more than happy to. And you can always jump in to my Twitch streams as well, ask questions there. It'd be great to see you. A little bit of oversteer there, but again, I was probably a little too aggressive with my throttle inputs. However, already in the 58s, on par with 57s. This car is pretty incredible. I really like it. Let me go ahead and turn off my webcam one more time, and I'm going to show you the full setup here. So this is the name of the setup that I made. Again, it's in my Discord. Link will be in the description. Here's our tire pressures, and again, this is for optimum at 27C for the track temp. I did use ECU map 1 here, but as you can see, even ECU map 3, you can keep up. You can still do a 57 if you really push it. But this is my electronics, my fuel. Don't pay attention to the tire set. That's just the tire set I was using when I saved it. In fact, I'll just go ahead and set that to 1 and save it now. The mechanical grip. Again, we made the changes to the wheel rate, bump stop, and range, as well as the preload, and then brake bias. And again, brake bias is completely up to you. In fact, I'll update that as well. Dampers. Something that you'll notice is that the rear dampers have really kind of how do I put it? They've come down a lot, and your bump as well as your rebound are pretty similar. And the intention here is that you don't want your dampers to be too peaky in the rear end. You want them to kind of be a little. You don't want them to be like this. You want them to be like this in the rear. That's going to help you with getting out of the corners quicker. It's going to keep the car stable. Now your front dampers, I've always enjoyed my dampers to look like this, a nice peak. You want a hump in the rear, a peak in the front. And here's the aero balance. There you go. Bring the webcam back on. So again, if you guys have any questions or concerns, let me know. I know this video is definitely not perfect. And the whole time I was going over the dampers, peak, hump, definitely want your dampers to look like that. But again, grab that setup in the Discord and say hi while you're there. I'll go ahead and jump over to my fastest lap so you can watch that on board as well. Outside of that, I hope you guys have a great one, and thanks for stopping by. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. If not, hit the thumbs down button. It won't hurt my feelings. It'll just help me improve in the future. So thank you again. We'll see you next time.